Good morning, good evening, and good ever time of day it is for you. But thanks all for joining us again today. I hope that your week or weeks have been good, and yeah, just looking forward to getting this campaign wrapped up in either this turn or the next turn. So it looks like I don't know if it'll go the whole 12 turns, but yeah, it's been exciting. I've had it on my mind all week. But yeah, Luke, good to have you on board. Warpstone as well. And there's 5 of you in total who are sort of signed in. So for those of you that haven't commented, good to have you with us again. So let's have a think. What was the should be a close turn? Oh yeah, should be a close turn. So let's start off as usual with a bit of a refresh from what happened last turn. Blookgang, good to see you as well. So if I remember rightly, we had reinforcements from the French come on from Paris. We had this who were down here near Guignes, who were marching towards Cézanne, because I think, if I remember rightly, overall orders were for the French to converge into the center. This troop here, or this corps, which is mostly comprised of the Guard and a few others that had joined them, finished off Wittgenstein, and then they marched north. Napoleon managed to get up pretty well unhazed because he left Ney behind as a rear guard. Ney did a pretty good job at a fighting withdrawal, held the Allies up, and has managed to get himself pretty well there. The reserve corps started marching north, and so they're kind of still moving. As for the Allies, they had this sort of reinforcement unit. I think they're cavalry, but I can't remember off the top of my head, came across. These 3, which are different reinforcement units from different turns, have made their way up and are now crossing into the center. And you had Blucher and Barclay de Tolly's forces marching up the road and engaging with Ney. I'm pretty sure that was it from last turn. If I've missed anything, then just chuck. But yeah, as I said, last turn we had the Ney. It was a good fight. Yeah, his orders weren't to stand and be annihilated. They were to basically buy time for the French, which they did. As they were withdrawing, they got hit a second time by the Allies, but thankfully for the French, they didn't suffer too high casualties, but they were able to escape after their sort of second engagement. So they've managed to withdraw somewhat. They're not quite with Napoleon, they're nearly there. So that's what brings us round to the next turn. But I think it was kind of a successful turn for the French last turn in that they have started to get all of their forces converging. It wasn't a bad turn for the Allies. I mean, they did inflict good casualties in this engagement and suffered reasonably few themselves. And these troops are now coming in. So, yeah, it was kind of an even turn for both sides. So this turn, we are on turn 10, which takes us from the 28th of March through to the 3rd of April. So we are really getting into the final few weeks of the historical campaign. So let's start off with our initiative. So this turn, Napoleon is back to full health. So that's going to give him 1 to his dice roll. So we've got blue for the French, red dice, and we've got an allied initiative, 6-2. So allies get it, which could make things very interesting this turn. So allies. Cool. The weather is clear from last turn, so we don't need to worry about that. But what is it going to be for, if there is another turn, what is it going to be for next turn? We've rolled a 95, and we're in March, so a 95 is going to be clear. Clear. So yeah, okay, so we've got good weather. Battle turns. Don't need to worry about that because it's going to be 12 turns. So next up, do we have a historical? No, we don't have a historical event for this. Turn 10, so that's quick and easy. So just get that off of there. So that moves us on to our French random events. What's that said, Luke? Ney's name will be cheered through the streets of Paris. Exactly. Unlike Marshal Marmont. Well, actually, he died heroically in our campaign, as opposed to historically, where he didn't come out of it looking so good. So So for the French, we've got our random event, and we've got an 18. Yeah, an 18. So the French have French volunteers. Civilians provide support, allowing one unit to gain a free plus 3 cohesion. Okay, so that's pretty useful because some of their units are pretty depleted. So plus 3 cohesion to 1 unit. Cool. Well, that might make all the difference. You never know. And for the Allies, they've rolled a 9, which is, sorry, let me write that down. It was 18 for the French, 9 for the Allies. Okay, and a 9 for the Allies is captured French orders. A French unit's position is frozen, allowing a free maneuver for 1 coalition unit in range. Oh, okay. So during the battle, there will be 1 French unit that gets frozen for a turn, giving a bonus to the Allies. Cool. Sorry, not during battle, on the movement here. So 1 of the French will be frozen, so we'll have to roll for that. French unit frozen. Cool, let's do that now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, D6. And we'll start at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And whichever one it is basically frozen. 1. Okay, cool. So simple. 1. They can't move this turn, which is probably for the French the best thing that could happen, because I think it was just an infantry regiment or a small infantry brigade, so they're not really going to add too much. Whereas I think that's artillery, which will be more useful to them. Okay, so that's our random events. So yeah, both sides had a few things going. Oh no, cowards. So now we'll get on to the orders, the fun part. So I am just going to flick over to the other page, so I won't see any comments for a few minutes. So if we start off with the French options, they actually no, start off with the coalition because they've just gained the initiative. So we'll start off with them. So Allied turn 10 options. We had 19 votes. 84% voted for option 2 versus 16 for option 1. But we shall do our dicing. Okay, we rolled a 10, 13. Okay, so it's going to be option 1. And option 1 sees all northern forces converge on Cézanne to engage Napoleon. Our southern forces head east to threaten their supply lines. Okay, so that's very simple. Allies, option 1. Okay, so that's going to be interesting because we're going to have these chaps coming down the road in that sort of manner to engage there, whilst we're going to have those having to sort of push through Ney to get onto Napoleon. So we'll see what the French options are now, and then we'll do the movements. Cool. So the French had their 4 options, and did I do something wrong? Have I gone too far? There we go. Cool. So again, 19 votes. Option 1 received 0, so we'll just rule them out entirely. And let's go again. So we've rolled an 83. Okay, so 83 option 4. And option 4 is all forces withdraw southwest to Provins to trade space for time. Okay. So that would be basically these guys, those guys heading up, and everyone trying to go in that sort of manner. I'm just going to come back to you. Cool. So let's sort of work this out. The Allies are going to be getting the advantage or the initiative, so they're going to be moving first. So they would, as a basic move, they get just short, so they're not quite engaged with Napoleon. So feel free to chime in and we can go backwards and forwards on this. But this is just the way that I'm seeing it at this stage. They're still going to be doing their 7 going across in that sort of direction to there. These two, their orders are obviously able to go up towards Cezanne. Ney's in the way. So as far as I see it, they would be, again, catching Ney. And then that's going to be slowing them down. Everyone else from the French's perspective at this stage, the French are being ordered to move down to there. So even if we wanted to give these guys a speed march, their initiative is really just going to get them to there first. So if the French had been in range, they would have engaged them. But there's a gap, which means the French can move. So as far as I'm concerned, I think based off of the French orders, they would be moving. What's that going to be? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they would be kind of getting to around about there. Napoleon's troops would get down to there. Ney's being caught. They would be coming up. And they're frozen. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. Ney again has to stand really as he's caught. Yeah, that's what I think's probably happened. For the Allies, it then depends on whether they want these guys to double march, force march, because if they do, they would be able to, if they're successful, they will be able to catch them. The only thing is if they catch them and these troops are delayed, you've got very small troops going against the combined French. So it might not be the best thing for them to do. It might be a good idea to force march and sort of maybe fall upon Ney's back and converge there just to try and take Ney out rather than going on the main French force. And then the Allies are kind of ready for the next turn. What are your ideas based around that? Look, I can't remember. Were you more playing for the Allies or the French? French through and through. But do we have any Allies there? Ney again has to stand as he's caught to fight. Yep. If Boney can move before the forced march, then run. Yeah. So I think that's what he's going to do. His orders that he's given are to converge down here. So he would be there. You got the artillery there. They did their 7. We could attempt to force march them, but I don't think it's really necessary this turn, risking the cohesion loss of a force march because they're not going to get engaged till next turn, so they can just march up next turn. Ney's been engaged. If he can extricate himself, he'll be able to get over to them. If not, he has a heroic last stand. So really it comes down to the Allies. Now, I think Allies have commented that the best thing that they could do, actually what we'll do is roll a d6. I think a force march is basically in order, but it's going to be split between going after Ney and going after Napoleon. But I don't think going after and engaging Napoleon is really what they would do with such a small force against his combined army. So let's roll a d6, and on a 1, 2, or 3, they will engage or attempt to engage. And on a 4, 5, or 6, they'll advance just to the south side of Cezanne so that they're ready to move next turn. 1. Okay, so they will sort of combine and then come down with a force march if we can successfully do it. So let's roll. Units of coalition armies. Okay, d10. Where's my d10? There it is. And rolls a 10. Cool. No loss. Okay, so no cohesion loss, and they come down on Ney. Be for every unit. Oh, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. Line them up. I can't remember which order they were. Something. Cool. So the first one does. We've got a success. Second one is a 4, and on a 4 it fails to march. Okay, and the last one is a 10, so they will be able to, and they'll have to bypass them by going down that road, so they'll come in there. So okay, there we go. That's our Allies. So luckily for Ney, there is still a bit of a gap here which hasn't been quite locked up by the Allies, so he does stand a chance of escaping, but it's going to be a tricky one. So and I think probably, seeing as we're going to be having our big battle next turn, it's going to be definitely worth the Allies attempting to force march those troops. Although they're not super large in numbers, it could make all the difference. and a 2 means they fail, so they don't move. Cool. However, we did roll 2 10. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. Although it's not going to make much of a difference in the great scheme of the campaign, the Allies do have their final reinforcement unit coming on. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So they'll be coming on from there. And they will go 7. And we'll see if they can do a force march, which they can. And an 8 for the Allies is no cohesion loss. So they can go 14. Straight through. Oh, okay, actually, may possibly, if they can get a good force march in next turn, be in position to assist. Interesting. Cool. So we are going to have, let me just write this down. Again, unless anyone wants to throw in any objections, I think we'll stand with this outcome for movements. So we've got one battle south of Cezanne. C-Z-A-N-N-E, Cezanne, and that's Ney, basically versus all coalition. And I think for the French, their orders are going to be hold for as long as possible and then withdraw. I think would be kind of their commander's intent. Hold as long as possible and then withdraw. And I would say for the coalition, they're just going to want to try and annihilate, because if they can take Ney, and he's basically got 2 corps under his command there. If they can destroy that, that's a good chunk, upwards of a quarter of the French available forces. But yeah, I think you're right there. Look, that will be the decider next turn. Everything is coming down to that one, which is actually quite a cool way for the sort of campaign to end. Very interesting. Okay, so that pretty well brings us to the end of this turn, I believe. I don't think I've missed anything. No, that's pretty straightforward. Cool. So yeah, unless anyone's got any additional questions, I think, or ideas for this turn, I think we're pretty well there. So this turn, just to recap, we had the French random event, which is a +3 cohesion to 1 unit. So that would be getting used in Ney's force. Let me just write that down. Ney +3 cohesion to 1 unit. Which, again, he's going to need by the looks of it. But then again, for the French, I'm just thinking of it now from sort of a battlefield perspective. Would they be better off just trying to withdraw straight Napoleon? I think yes. Or would they be better off trying to withdraw and take out one of these two as they go, head north, try and destroy that grouping, and then swing down? I'd say probably go straight for Napoleon, but we'll see what the situation is on the day of the battle, so to speak. But yeah, I think overall that's us for today, guys. And looks like we've got another turn ahead for next week, which is good. I wasn't sure if this was going to be the last turn or not, but it looks like now we're definitely going to have another turn next week, which is cool, with the final big battle where they all face off. So looking forward to that. And I'm quite looking forward to this this mess of a battle in the middle. That's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. It could be great or it could be terrible for both sides. But yeah, once again, thank you all for joining. And for your comments, and I will look forward to speaking to you next week. Have our final options. But yeah, I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it is. And yeah, I will see you all very soon. An organized withdrawal ASAP. Okay, cool. Yeah, orders given. That's what it'll be. Hold for as long as they can, and then for the French in effect to have escaped, and then sounds good. Looking forward to battle and the moves. Yep. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your days. See ya.